Good day, everybody. Welcome back. Catch the Torah wave. We're here with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg, Genesis class of the Noahide World Center. And as always, we're joined by many people in the Zoom room. We've got our friend Wendell. We've got Angela and Mike over in the UK. Italo down in South America. Andrea, our friend Hans down in Paraguay, as well as Travis Cox as usual, and our friend Bart, Karen, and Nicola. And nice to see you, Hans. But I see Rabbi Goldberg's made it. Rabbi, are you ready to go live, sir?
Good evening, everybody from Jerusalem. Yes. Welcome. Ready? We can go live. We can start the meeting. Let's learn a bit. Not only, let's start. Let's go inside. Let's dive. Angela and Mike, today we had another couple of the United Kingdom people who did the pledge. So I will join them to you.
That was Sandra and Collins.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I put them on to you. I put them on to you, sir.
Yeah. I usually go the other way. I had people chatting with me all night about that.
No, but people said to me also that there was some problems with the link. So we will check this up. I didn't have the time yet. Good to see you, everybody. Good to see you all. Dan, can we start?
We're live. Yeah, we're live, Rabbi. We can start anytime you're ready.
Let's start. Let's start with I want to learn from Genesis today, but I want to also connect everything to Purim. We're celebrating Purim this week.
Beautiful.
So Purim, as we all know, is related with a very famous story about the kingdom of the old Persian, where there was someone there who was the secondary for the king and wanted to kill all the Jewish people. We all know the story, right? The story about Queen Esther, and that we see suddenly that there is every person in this world have a great timing that he can change the world, not only himself. And this is why we're here. And this is what we see also with Esther, the queen. And she managed with her wisdom to put him down. I will say it like that, to turn everything, to flip the coin, to turn everything upside down. And instead of, he built up a very high tree to hang up Mordechai, okay, the main person of the Jewish people, to hang him up. When we say a very high tree, we're speaking about 25 meters of a tree. 25 meters also today is a high place. And especially in those days, it was very high. But at the end, basically what he did it for himself, because he was hanged there with his sons, 10 sons together. So it's interesting how the history is flipping around. But I want to speak about the main principle of this guy, of what we call Haman, that came from, the name is Amalek. I think if you didn't hear this name, so I will explain this now. He was part of the Amalek family. And we see Amalek, we see this family coming, coming to the history in a very specific time of the history. 3 times along history it came to us, and in a very specific time. And I need to explain all of this now. So the first thing is that we have a very weird, a very strange Talmudic, Babylon Talmud question and answer about this story. And the question is, what is the source in the Bible about this guy, Haman? Haman is the guy that was the most horrible person who wanted to destroy, to kill all of the Jewish people. Let's see for a moment the the verses, so it will be clear how much it's horrible to think about it. Today, I think it's much easier to understand what they are speaking there, because we had, a few years ago, we had the Holocaust, and we know what is the meaning of this. So, but let's see it for a moment. Okay, let's go to the Esther. Let's go to the Esther thing. It starts with this. Please read verse number 5.
And when Haman saw that Mordecai would neither kneel nor prostrate himself before him, Haman became full of wrath.
Excellent. And please read verse number 6.
6. But it seemed contemptible to him to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told him Mordecai's nationality, and Haman sought to destroy all the Jews who were throughout Ahasuerus' entire kingdom, Mordecai's people.
Fair enough. But I want to read the main verse. How much it's how much it's horrible to listen to the words. Okay. So please read verse number 12 and 13. In those days, we didn't have the internet. It's not to put on the Zoom. It's not to put it, on Facebook or whatever it is. Please read verse 12 and 13 and see how
12. And the king's scribes were summoned in the first month, on the 13th day thereof, and it was written according to everything that Haman had ordered to the king's satraps and to the governors who were over every province, and to the princes of every people, each province according to its script, and each people according to its tongue, as it was written in the name of King Ahasuerus, and it was sealed with the king's ring. And the letter shall be sent by the hand of the couriers to all the king's provinces, to destroy, kill, and cause to perish all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, on one day, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, and their spoils to be taken as plunder.
So first of all, verse number 12 is the first time that we see Google in our earth. Okay? You can see it. It's loud and clear. Google. Each nation in his tongue, and to everybody in exactly the same tongue. There's one place, let's say somewhere in California, I don't know, something like that, that is spread all over the world, but with the language of each one of us. If you will go to Google, you will try to do any search in Google, or even to build up some sort of advertisement in the Google, you have something like almost 180 languages. This is exactly what's written down here in verse number 12, just like Google. But in those days, they didn't have the computers that we have today, so they sent people, people who are running on their horses and everything else. Fair enough. And then in verse number 13, listen to the words. And cause to perish all the Jews, both young and old, little children and women, on one day. Think about this for a moment. I don't care now if it was the Jewish people. Of course I care, because it's I'm a Jewish person, but I don't care if it was Jewish people or if it's something else. Think about this for a moment. It's a homicide of a full nation without any. Why? Because he was angry about one person there, to kill all the people, everything, also the women. Who spoke like that also?
Do I have to come with you?
Something like 100 years ago. Something like 100 years ago. There was also someone, a bit less than 100 years, maybe it was 90 years ago, 70, 80 years ago. I'm sure that you're all familiar with the pictures of this guy Hitler, who is standing in front of all, and yes, exactly, and saying his words, and everybody's saying Heil Hitler and all those things. One of the things that he said is that the Jewish nation brought to this world the moral point of view, a special moral point of view, and the only way to move this moral point of view from this world is by killing, and he said the same verse, killing all of them, young and old people, children and women, every one of them. This is the only way to move this moral understanding from the world. This is what Hitler also said.
Wow.
And this is basically what he's saying here in this verse. And when you're trying to think about something like that, it's amazing to think about this understanding. Now, our sages had a very interesting question. We have in our tradition, we know it's a principle that I want to mention from time to time. I'm mentioning it. When you're reading the text, you can't understand the text by only reading the text, because every text that is being written down, you have a lot of explanation to understand the text. This is why we're saying all the time that the Hebrew tradition got both the oral Bible and the written Bible, and the oral Bible is explaining the written Bible. You can't be only in one way. This is the most important point, or one of the most important points that we need to realize, that God didn't give us only the written thing, but also the oral thing. Fair enough. And one of the things that we have as a principle, another principle that we have, that everything that is coming on the other side of the Bible, when I'm saying on the other side of the Bible, I'm speaking about everything that is being written down in the Nevi'im and Ketuvim, okay, prophets and the scriptures. In those two parts, there is a source in the Torah, in the first 5.
Yeah, the roots. It's
parts.
the roots for sure.
There is always a source of the things. And one of the things that our sages are asking, this guy, Haman, this guy that want to demolish, to kill all of the Jewish people, everything else, this one that his name is Haman. You see the word? This is the word. The word is H, M, and N. Okay? It's written down here, Haman.
Yes.
What is the roots of this guy in the Bible? Someone knows?
Goes right back to the garden, Rabbi.
Okay, where in the garden? Do you remember that? Maybe we said it once. No, maybe we might. It might be that we said.
I think it's Genesis chapter 3.
It's going to Genesis chapter 3, and it says there's something. Or that you're a good student, or I'm a brilliant teacher. If you remember that, we spoke about
Quite a
this
couple of
3
years,
years
yeah.
ago. Okay, it says like that. We need to read it a bit, but basically it says here that God said to the Adam and Eve not to eat from the forbidden tree. They ate from the forbidden tree, and then look good what is happening here. Please read verse number 11.
11. And he said to him, who told you that you are naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?
This is a question. God is asking a question, and the word that he is using, God, when he is asking the question, is the same word or the same letters of the person that his name is Haman. The same letters.
Right. But
So we see that in this
Haman.
question, Haman is, did you, okay? Have you, it's a doubt, by the way, it's a doubt. Have you eaten from the tree that I obeyed you not to eat from? The word Haman is a doubt. You have a doubt. Okay, let's say it loud and clear. God have a doubt. And our sages are saying that this guy that want to kill all of the Jewish nation is starting from this point of the doubt. Let's understand a bit what is happening here, okay? Let's remind ourselves for this story. This story is very important, so we need to remember the full story. It's one of the fundamental stories that we have that is teaching us and doing us with a lot of things. So let's go step by step. The main part of the story is that God is asking Adam and Eve not to eat from the forbidden tree, from the knowledge tree. And we spoke about the knowledge, and it's the same tree. It depends only about your position and exactly how you see the things and everything else. And then we have someone who is trying to to bring the woman to eat from the tree. So let's read for a moment verses 1 till 6, please.
All right. Verse 1. Now the serpent was cunning more than all the beasts of the field that the Lord God had made. And it said to the woman, Did Hashem indeed say, You shall not eat of any of the trees of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, Of the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat. But of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, Hashem said, You shall not eat of it, and you shall not touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, You will surely not die. For Hashem knows that on that day, the day that you eat thereof, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like angels, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and the tree was desirable to make one wise. So she took of its fruit, and she ate, and she gave also to her husband who was with her.
We see here basically the main what it will become later on the Christian world, the main I will say the main mistake that till today, because of that, we are supposed to be punished and everything else. Fair enough. There are a few stages here on this thing. There are a few stages, very important one. But I want to concentrate in the main one, okay? And the main point that is being written here is that the serpent, okay, what we call the snake, is very clear to say against the words of God. God said that if you will eat from the knowledge tree, you will die. And the serpent in verse number 4 is saying, you will surely not die. From where does he have these guts to say just against God? Listen for this for a moment, okay? He has the guts to stand in front of God. God is saying to him, you will die. God is saying to the woman, to the husband, to Adam, you will die. And the serpent is saying, you won't die. God is lying. Okay? But he have also an explanation for that. And this is in verse number 5. God knows that if you will eat from the tree of the good and bad, good and evil, you will be like God. Now look good for, read for a moment what Rashi is saying in verse number 5. Okay, let's jump for a moment to Rashi. Please read Rashi. It's all Rashi, until the Pirkei from.
For God knows every craftsman hates his fellow craftsman. He, Hashem, ate of the tree and created the world, from Genesis Rabbi 19:4. And you'll be like angels, or creators of worlds, from Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, chapter 13.
Okay, those are the sources, but let's leave the sources aside. What the serpent is saying here, something amazing. Saying to him, what is happening here? You know what is happening here? What happened here is that God himself ate from this tree. God himself is not such an alien. God is only like you, who ate from this tree, and he created the world, and now you will have also the possibility of creating worlds. So he is putting here some sort of a doubt against God. God is saying you will die, and the serpent is saying to Adam and Eve, to Eve, not to Adam. The serpent is saying to her, it's only a question of something similar. You can be like him. You're almost like him. I don't know. I don't remember if I showed you in Psalms number, if I remember correctly, it's 19 or 13. In a moment, we'll jump to there to see. It says that we, the human being, okay, Adam and Eve, were created almost on the limit of God, who can create worlds. There is something true there, or almost true there. But at this point of time, there is some sort of a doubt. Is God is, I will say it like that. Is God is in a situation where it's the other side of the, it's something separated from us altogether, totally. He created the world and we are creation of the world. We are created. Or that we are on the same scale, and the scale is very far one from each other. We are smart, he's very smart, but we are on the same scale. Okay, he is he have we'll say a moral behavior. We have moral behavior, but he have much bigger moral behavior. But we are on the same scale. The serpent is saying, you know what? We are only on the same scale. It's a very far scale between us and him. But if you will eat from the evil and bad tree, you will become closer to the scale, to become, on the same scale with God, be closer to him. This is the doubt that the serpent is saying, or the serpent is bringing to this world. While God, who created the world and gave us life, we can't give life to anything else till today, and never we will manage to create life, okay? We have the possibility of doing something that is bringing life to this world, but it's always need the help of God with this. Okay, go learn it wherever it is. And the amazing situation is that God is always, I think we said it more than once. There is a verse in Psalms that God is like a shadow behind us. Like the shadow, or that when you raise up your hand, the shadow is raising the hand. When you're walking, the shadow is walking. When you're sitting, the shadow is sitting. Your shadow, God is behaving on the same way. So when she saw, you can read it here also, okay? She understood the words of the serpent, and they applied to her when they appealed to her. When she accepted, okay, she believed in everything else. When she accepted this, God is also behaving on the same way. Now, let me ask you for a moment. Did God knew that they ate from the tree, or he didn't knew that? Of course he knew that, right?
Yeah, he knew all our days before
he
one
knows
ever
everything,
began.
okay?
Yeah.
So how come he's asking,
did you eat?
Did you eat? Have you eaten from the tree? Why is he asking it? Please read Rashi for a moment, and verse 11.
Verse 11. From where do you know what?
Sorry. Not verse 11, verse 9.
Verse 9. Where are you? He knew where he was, but he asked him this in order to enter into conversation with him, lest he be frightened to answer if he should punish him suddenly. So with Cain, he said to him, where is your brother Abel? And so with Balaam, who are these men with you? For the purpose of entering a conversation with them, and so with Hezekiah in regard to the emissaries of Mordach Baldan.
Okay, what we see here, it's a strategy of God, an interesting way of behaving. You know why? I will show you. You will be surprised. You will be shocked. When God, if God, okay, won't ask, in a polite way, where are you? Did you eat? Something like that. You know what will happen to people? I want to show you for a moment what will happen to people. I want to show you for a moment a situation where 10 people did an evil to one of the someone else, and the day that they acknowledged their mistake and they were supposed to confront him, what happened to them? Okay, let's jump for a moment to a story that we all know. The story is just a moment. I need to go a bit more. 42, 45. When Joseph is exposing himself in front of his brothers. You remember the story, all the story there, that he was all the time hiding himself as a big alien of the Egyptians and everything else. And then, please read verses number 1, 2, and 3.
Now Joseph could not bear all those standing beside him, and he called out, "Take everyone away from me." So no one stood with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And he wept out loud. So the Egyptians heard, and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers could not answer him because they were startled by his presence.
Now, we're speaking about person in front of his other allies, okay, brothers. Let's look for Rashi for a moment and look what will happen, okay? Please read the Rashi for verse number 1.
Now Joseph could not bear all those standing. He could not bear that Egyptians would stand beside him and hear his brothers being embarrassed when he would make himself known to them.
He knew exactly that they're going to be embarrassed, but it's more than that. When it's not being in Rashi. Oh, yeah. It says in the Midrash that they were very afraid. They didn't know what to do. There is in the Babylon Talmud, there is a say of one of our sages that's saying, look, it's people with people. This guy, Joseph, is not doing them anything hard. He took out all of the Egyptians so they won't feel bad. And even though they were so shamed and afraid and everything else, what will happen when you will stand in front of God and God will ask you, you did things that I said to you not to do? What will happen when we will stand in front of God? We will die, We can't stand in front of this judge and to say to him, yes, we didn't listen to you. So God have, I will say, a strategy, idea how to start to speak with people. It's also with Cain. We see this with Bilam. We see this with Rizkiah. Okay, we see this with everybody. God is starting with a doubt. Now, it's not really a doubt with God. But, and this is one of the most important points of this world, God is not appearing here miraculously in this world in a way today, okay? That all the time he's showing himself and we understand that there is God in this world. God all the time is hiding behind the scenes and giving us the full opportunity of deciding if we want to believe in him or not. There's a lot of people who are secular in this world. They don't believe in God. They're like the serpents, okay? They have a lot of doubts. God is here, God is not here, we never saw him, we spoke with him, all of those words. Fair enough. God is not coming and appearing in front of everybody. This is not his way. He wants really to give us a full option of a decision to decide, do we want to believe in him or not? And especially in the last 200 years, we see that, this stage of secular in this world. And everybody is saying, all the secular people, they are saying, but we have a lot of doubts. You can't prove that God is here. You can't prove that he's here. Fine. It's true. This is one of the ways of God behavior in this world. And when you have this doubt, you can say to yourself, what we need to do, the last thing that we need to do, is to wipe off all this nation that is a live nation and showing that there is God in this world. This is what Haman is doing. And this is why the source of this is here in this story. Because the only thing that is really showing that there is, I will say, some sort of a presence of God here in this world is this nation. I want to share this with you. I know that now it's being recorded and being outside, to the world. So let's say something a bit hard, but I will say it. Okay, you with me, all of you? Fair enough. Dan, can I say hard things? Let's go on it. For almost 2,000 years, the Christian people, or the Christian, I will say, authority, said that the Hebrew people killed God. You know what? Let me say something clear. I think that I understand them. I need to be careful with my words, but I understand why they said it. They felt that the presence of God, who was mainly in these people, in his holy house and everything else, when they went out to the exile, the presence of God in this world was killed. And who killed it? Who killed him? The Jewish people who did their sins and went out to the exile. And this is why the authority of the Christian world in 1960, if I remember correctly, I don't remember exactly the dates, okay, after a few years that we had the state, we built up the Hebrew state, they gathered together, again in Rome there, and they said, no, it was a mistake. They didn't kill God. You can't blame them for killing God. You know why? Because the presence of God came back. It's very simple. I'm saying things here that I'm trying to be very exact with my words, so people won't misunderstand me. But this is what is happening here. The presence of God is being held by those people, the Jewish people, okay, the sons of God. And we spoke about this a lot, and because they are the people who are supposed to give the education to this world, or to bring the presence of God to the world, and they didn't do this in the right way, so we are punished much more than others and everything else. We spoke about those things. Go to the videos, you will find it, everything we spoke about those things. But here we see where the source of all of this, the source is coming from the doubt. The doubt. And the doubt that God is giving here for, I will say, the mercy, so we will manage to hold his presence here with us. If he will come to us straight ahead, we will die just like the brothers of Joseph with his, when he appeared in front of them. Think about this for one. God will appear in front of us. What we will do? Nothing. We have nothing to say in front of the presence of God if we are not behaving in the right way. So God is doing this for a mercy, so we will manage to start to speak with him in this way and the other way. And this doubt is the beginning of saying, is God here? You can go with this to this way and don't believe in God. And then one of the understanding of what's happening is, so we need to wipe off all the people who are showing the presence of God here. And this is what's happening with Haman. So this is point number one, where we see the source of everything is here. The second point I want to mention is that we see, I will say it like that. You need to go with me because we're going now to another step, another explanation of what's happening in the Purim thing that we have. We see the Amalek. By the way, the word Amalek in Hebrew have the same value of the word safek, doubt in Hebrew. Okay, this is what we have here, a doubt. Is he here? Is not here? God, where is it? We find Amalek 3 times in the history. 3 times. And each time, it's a very interesting way. It says when we were on the move, I will call it like that, on the move. This is how the Maimonides is explaining it, okay? On the move. What is on the move? We are not in Egypt. We are on the move to Israel. In the desert, Amalek will come. Pharaoh already said to us, go to Israel and bless me also. I will read the verses. It's very simple. It's not, I'm not, how do you say it?
No, you're not making it up, that's for sure.
I'm not making this up. Yes. Let's see it for a moment. How Pharaoh is saying to the Hebrew nation, I'm giving you permission for Pharaoh in those days for 1,200 years. One of the biggest empires that we had that held, in the old world for 1,200 years. And Pharaoh is saying to the Hebrew nation like that. It's a very long one. It's Exodus chapter 12. We need to read from 29 till 32.
All right, 29. And it came to pass at midnight, and the Lord smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who is in his dungeon, and every firstborn animal. And Pharaoh arose at night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great outcry in Egypt, for there was no house in which no one was dead. So he called for Moses and Aaron at night, and he said, Get up and get out from among my people, both you as well as the children of Israel, and go worship the Lord as you have spoken. Take also your flocks and also your cattle as you have spoken, and go, but you shall also bless me.
Wow, amazing. Listen to those 3 words. Also bless me. I agree. I understand. Your permission, you go out. Don't forget to bless the Egyptian people. And at this point of time, we are not being held
Wrathful.
by the Egyptian people, who also didn't let the Amalek to come inside. But we are not yet in Israel. On the way, Amalek will come. When was the second time? Second time was what we said in the beginning, in the Persian time, okay, with Haman, with Esther.
I thought
What happened there?
King Saul had
King Saul
was
had a
sent to
fight with
destroy.
them. Fair enough. This is where we already were in Israel, and King Saul had also a fight with them, and he managed almost to kill all of them except for the king, and this is why we had also after that more things. Fair enough. But the next time that they came to us and they tried to kill us, you know, from the old people to the young people, from women, the kids, everything else, was the time that we had already the permission to come back to Israel. We didn't came yet on the other side. And on those days, it was something like 20 days, okay, 20 years, sorry, that we had Koresh. Remember the Koresh, one of the big kings of Persian? He said that we are allowed to build up the Mount Temple, but we didn't yet came all the Hebrew nation back to Israel. And on those days, again, the Amalek is coming. And between the time that we're getting the permission to go back to Israel and the time that we are in Israel, Amalek can't come to us. And when we are still in the exile, he can't come to us. He can come to us on the way. And it's written down. By the way, it's also written down on the way. I will show you, because there was another third time in the history that it came. Okay?
Now,
The third
Rabbi,
time.
can I ask you a question?
Just a moment. In a moment, I will give you also to ask questions. Let me finish the point, okay? And then we will ask questions. These here, another one, sorry. Please read verses number 17 and 18.
17. You shall remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you went out of Egypt, how he happened upon you on the way and cut off all the stragglers at your rear when you were faint and weary.
Speaking about on the way, always it's on the way. The third time that Amalek came, okay, was after we had the permission to come back to our homeland, but we call the Balfour statement that we can come back to our homeland. We didn't came yet. It was in 1917, something like that, or 24. Between those days, San Remo and everything else. And we didn't came yet to Israel. Only on 47 we established the states. And at this time between, we had the situation where we were killed. Old people, young people, kids, and everything else. Amalek came third time. The only time that Amalek is coming, and this is why we need to remember that, because it's a rare situation. It's only on the way back from the exile to Israel. This is where Amalek is coming. The doubt is coming on this time. We're not sure yet, is it the time of the exile or it's the time of coming back to Israel? When we have this situation of doubt, this is where on the way between the exile to Israel, this is where Amalek is coming. So we saw here 2 points of view, okay, of this situation of Amalek. And we're starting to realize what is this celebration. The celebration is to move the doubt. Now, how do you move the doubt? How can you move the doubt? I will say something. It's something that with this I will finalize what I have to say, because tonight I need to go at 9 o'clock to the Spanish department for something. So we'll have a few minutes to discuss things. How do you move the doubts? Okay, one of the things that we have is we have the brain. The brain is giving us a very clear realization of what's happening in our world. But the brain is also giving us a lot of illusions and a lot of things that we're imagining, or we're not really understanding everything else. But there is some sort of a very deep, much higher level of, certainty that we have. This certainty is a place, or it's a position that it's much above the understanding. So in Purim, one of the things that we are doing, we're drinking a bit. And what is happening when you're drinking wine? You're losing your mind, and you're managing to move to the above side. Now, of course, there are those who are losing their mind, and because of that, they're behaving in a very crook way. I'm not speaking about this, okay? But it's an interesting wording of saying ad delo yada, to come to the stage of above knowledge. There is a stage above knowledge where the certainty is very clear that you have inside. It's related with your will, not only with your understanding. The understanding always have some sort of doubts. It says the big philosophers said always, there's doubts about everything except for one thing. Of course, everybody will die. And the Hebrew nation is saying, no, there is a certainty about everything. Now, not always we're managing to come to this certainty that we have, because not always we're in this stage. A lot of times, our knowledge between good and evil is giving us doubts. So we need to drink wine to be above the doubts. This is more or less the story about Purim. Questions? I have 15 minutes. Let's, if someone wants to ask questions.
Rabbi, I heard a profound message here this week that mentioned that Amalek was the grandson of Esau, and the rabbi that shared that, I believe it was Rabbi Breitowitz, shared, and he went into detail about it was so he would have been a great grandson of Isaac, and possibly even born while Isaac was still alive. And the point of the matter is, like when you were sharing about the characteristics of Chesed and Din with us, that there was a passing on of the Torah there, and that I'm not sure if it was Amalek's mother or his grandmother. Timnah was she was an Egyptian servant. She was a concubine, and she wasn't actually married, and there was some shame in that. And this is what stewed and brewed in Amalek's life, rather than bless and fulfill and encourage the promise to Isaac that ended up on Jacob. He took an opposite route because he felt scorned and he felt rejected, and he went against it.
First of all, you're right. The main thing, it's written down here. This is the chapter 36. You see in Genesis when he's speaking about the generations of Esau, and here we find also what's his name? We find Amalek.
Ishmael, yeah.
Here it is. Read verse number 12, please.
12. And Timnah was a concubine to Eliphaz, son of Esau, and she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. These are the sons of Adah, the wife of Esau.
Fine. So we see that Amalek is the grandson of Isaac. It's true. And basically, she felt rejected. She wanted very much to become the woman of Abraham. And Abraham didn't want her. And so she wanted to be the woman of Isaac, and Isaac didn't want her. Abraham and Isaac said it's supposed to be. When we will come to this, I will explain this a bit more in a profound way why it was supposed to be only inside the family, the beginning of the family, and she felt rejected, and this is the.
And she was a concubine. Yeah, she wasn't. He
So
didn't
she
even
said,
marry her.
I prefer to be something connected to this family, and this is one of the things that is really bringing us the doubt again. The doubt will come from the inside. It won't come from the outside. It will come from the inside of the family. Think about this. Doubt is something that's coming from the inside. So if we want to organize a doubt inside the Israeli people
So you can breed
who
it.
are asking
Yeah.
themselves, the doubt will come from where? It will come from inside. Now let me show you another thing that is related to that is related also to doubts and everything else. Okay, so when we have the main story about Amalek that's coming to, here it is. When we have the main story about Amalek, Exodus number 17. Okay, I think it's 17. No, it's 18. Sorry.
Yeah,
Let's go to
16. It says there in verse 16.
18. For a moment. It was, I was there. Just a moment. It's bothering me here. I was there already. 17. Look for a moment what is happening here. Now look, we have at the end of chapter 17, read verse number 8.
8. Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim.
Fine. Never mind now the end of the story. You know that it depends also about the movement of the people. But let's read the one verse before that to understand why Amalek came. Who brought the doubt? Okay, who is speaking in a doubt way? Please read us number 7.
7. He named the place Massah, testing, and Meribah, quarreling, because of the quarrel of the children of Israel and because of their testing the Lord, saying, is the Lord in our midst or not?
Who have a doubt? It's written down. It's very clear. It's written down.
Right.
When you
so
have
this
a
is
doubt, Amalek is
one
coming.
big point when people realize that if you're walking with some degree of doubt, you're going to be bringing on yourself possible opposition.
Shadow. You remember the shadow? God
Yes.
is not showing himself up front, because if he will show himself up front, remember always what happened when Joseph showed himself up front in front of his brothers. What happened to them? Okay, God is not doing this to us. He's very careful, and people like very much to use it and to say, okay, you know why I'm secular? Because God is not here, and all the doubts and everything else. But the doubt is something that is coming from inside, and then Amalek is coming, and we need to be connected also to things that are a bit deeper inside us, profound inside us. Not only the knowledge is very important. I'm not saying to damage the knowledge, but there are things that the certainty is much more inside us than we can realize. Written down very loud and clear. I didn't invent anything. Just
and
I
you
showed
need to
you
tap into it
how
for
to look
sure.
it.
Yeah.
How to look on
Excellent.
this.
Well said, Rabbi. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for the Rabbi?
Questions. We have a bit of time. You can ask
got 10
about
minutes.
this. You can ask about other things. Yes.
I have a real
Yes.
easy one. Is it going to be our lessons at 2:00 in the U.S. since we've changed time every week, or are we going to be reverting back to the 1 p.m. time, our time?
I think that another 2 weeks we are moving the clock also, so it will come back to the 1 o'clock. Okay.
Okay.
Very important question.
Rabbi,
Yes.
in this week's Parsha, with going on about the sacrifices, every time an animal, whether it be the goat, the sheep, or the young bull, or even a bird, is brought forward to sacrifice, if it's an animal, they were told that the hand is laid heavily, forcefully on their head. And as a bird, the sharp nail is used at the back of the head. Now, the nail at the back of the head would very possibly be to sever the spinal cord. And to put the hands heavily on the animal, would that be to stun the animal? And therefore, as part of Noah's seventh law, to cause no unnecessary harm to an animal?
So it wasn't distressed.
I think that there are two different things here. First of all, you jump into something that I was asking myself if to show you something about Rashi on this part.
So shall I leave it for later then?
No. I won't have time for that, especially not today. Maybe next week we'll show. It's a very important thing that is showing an interesting point about the Noahide people. I will say it like that. There are two different things. An animal, okay. The truth is that the best sacrifice to bring in front of God is an animal. There are people who don't have the money for bringing animals, so they're bringing birds. Now, how exactly you're slaughtering animals or birds? You're doing it in a way that is less harming the animal. Okay, so there is a way. It's a very complicated. I will call it. If you want, I can show you the books. We have all the pictures and everything else today. It's much easier to understand that. But it's a very complicated halachic way of how to slaughter the animals. Now, because the main thing of bringing sacrifice is to bring an animal, and then as the Ramban is explaining in others, that it's like instead of bringing yourself and slaughtering yourself in front of God, like Isaac, you're saying that the legs of the animal will be instead of your legs, the hands of the animal will be instead of yours, the brain of the animal will be instead of you, everything else, it will be under you. So one of the things that you're doing is also you're doing some sort of an action of relying on the animal. Okay, you're not doing anything, you're just relying on the animal, and then you're saying to us, so you're saying, when I behaved in an inappropriate way, it was a mistake. Okay, I didn't do this on purpose, it was a mistake. And basically I was like an animal, because one of the differences between animal and human being is the brain, but I didn't use my brain. It was a mistake.
Yeah, unintentional versus intentional. Yeah, intentional sins use the brain, where unintentional just the body.
So I was
and that's why the atonement was
in a
there.
situation where it was only a body like the animal. Therefore, I'm passing on to the animal instead of me. I'm passing on everything to the animal instead of me. And this is what you do when you have an animal. But when you bring a bird or something like that, just a moment. אני כבר מצטרף אליכם.
Rabbi Goldberg had a post out this week that mentioned that.
So this is the Spanish department is pushing another few minutes. It's okay. So this is what you're doing when you have an animal. But when you're bringing a bird because you don't have money, or you're bringing also some sort of a bread or something like that, it's not bread, it's matzot, so never mind exactly. You don't need to put the hands on it, okay? But the way of sorting it, if it's in this way or the other way, exactly again, what you're doing with the birds, what you're doing with the animals, it's a way that is less harming the animal and doing it in the most fast way and easiest way for the animal. But it is a big question: how come we have the ability to take the life of the animals? We spoke about this also. Okay, if you're doing it if you're moving the animal to another higher level of sacrificing, for example, so the animal is happy. But if you're doing it, and you're not worth more than the animal.
Fulfillment, yeah.
So the animal is a bit upset.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Not a problem.
Beautiful. So, Rabbi, are we tentatively on for Genesis class next Sunday? Is your schedule?
Yes. Of course. Next Sunday, and we will come back to Genesis. We'll speak about Isaac and Abraham, and we'll finish it, and we'll continue on to the next day.
And we wish you a wonderful Purim this week. You got Purim right this week. Yeah, have a great time there in Jerusalem.
We need to bring up a toast,
Mazel tov,
right?
Yeah. Mazel tov. May you be filled with joy. Yes.
Fair enough.
Right.
Thank you very much all. See you all next week. Have a blessing week and blessing time. remember that Purim is the days that the Jewish people is doing the upside down situation, where they're managing to bring everything to God, to show the
All
way.
right. Well, Rabbi, we'll let you go to your next class. Thank you for all you share, and we'll aim to see you at the same time next week for more of the Genesis class. We hope you all catch the Torah wave and continue to grow. Yeah.
One more point. People ask me all the time, what can we do with this awful war that the Russian people, it's unbelievable how much evil it can bring to this world. And I want to remind you all, we can pray, not only bring the message of that, but you can also pray once a day, to pray to God, to ask him to do the right thing and to give us strength to spread the right words. Very good, Angela and Mike, with this flag. But also we can pray. Let's pray. That the world. Let's pray to God. Say to him, no, stop with all of this evil.
He knows what he's doing. He's got it all under control, but we still should be praying, I think. Yeah. Let him know our hearts. He wants to hear it. It means a lot. So, well, we want to bless you all. Everybody have a wonderful Purim this week, and we will see you next Sunday, same time, because Jerusalem is still, they're not doing their daylight savings for 2 more weeks. So we're going to be at the same time next week as today. But 2 weeks from now, we'll be back at the normal hour because of the adjustment in daylight savings. So, yeah. So Hashem willing, we'll be back next week, and we wish you all a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Everybody.